now in 1923, we have Hitler's unsuccessful Beer Hall Putsch. What was the effect of the Putsch on the Munich Jewish community? And secondly, why already by then did noted author Thomas Mann say that Munich was already Hitler's city?
So if I can go back for a second, when
Absolutely.
I wrote the book, I really wanted to write about the Jewish revolutionaries because it's a fascinating topic by itself. And the more and more I got into the archival material and the newspapers, I realized you can't stop in 1919 when the revolution was over, because now Munich became the capital of anti-Semitism in Germany. Munich, that was so much more liberal than Berlin before World War I, now becomes the capital of right-wing reaction, of very conservative backlash. And that's not just the Nazi movement. It starts with a much more moderate, conservative right-wing forces that also see or try to aim at Jews as scapegoats. There was a prime minister twice actually called Gustav von Kahr, who twice tries to expel, not all, but some of East European Jews, of the Ostjuden from Bavaria. And then already in the early 20s, we see the rise of Hitler. Now, we have to realize we don't know really Hitler's political views before 1919 because he never published anything. He starts to become active exactly after this experiment is over. And in the fall of 1919, he publishes his first article. And in 1920, he emerges as the leader of this tiny right-wing splinter party called the National Socialist German Workers' Party, which he calls actually that way, recalled it that way, and renamed it that way. And he becomes the focus of a more and more radicalizing right-wing anti-Semitic political faction. And you already have a lot of the people who will later be around in the very close circles around him in Munich at the time. Rudolf Hess is later deputy, Goering, Rosenberg, the main ideologue. They all are in Munich at the time and influenced by some of the other right-wing circles there. By 1923, his Nazi party, as we would call it today, became already a major force. He not necessarily because it wasn't the largest party in the city or in Bavaria, but the loudest one. He was omnipresent almost. He was everywhere seen. His speeches were he was celebrated as this orator, but he also made his way into parts of the middle and upper middle classes and upper classes of Munich society. Especially interestingly, some of the women were very fond of him at the time, and he made his inroads into Munich society. So, give one example, in January of 1923, there was a very famous, one of the most famous German plays of the Enlightenment period, Nathan the Wise, which actually also pledges for the tolerance for all religions, including Judaism, was turned into a movie. It was shown with a lot of success in Berlin. It could not be shown in a Munich cinema because the Nazi party put so much pressure on the movie theater owners that they would break their windows, they would destroy their cinemas if they showed that movie. So the influence in Munich was already very much there. Jews, I mean, it didn't happen every day, but it happened. The Jews were beaten up in the streets, some very prominent Jews. So Thomas Mann, the most prominent German writer in the 1920s, won the Nobel Prize, 1929, he already published an article, by the way, in an American newspaper in June of 1923, calling Munich the city of Hitler. Now, Hitler had no political office, but he dominated in a way the political discourse. And then on November 8th, 1923, he tried to come to power through a coup, through the Beer Hall Putsch, in a beer hall. It was Munich, after all. He failed because he did not get the support of the strong men in the state as he thought he would. And he was arrested. But reading the accounts of this first November pogrom in 1923, if you read it without the date on the newspaper, some of it sounds already like 1938, 15 years later, the same night, same day, when Jews were Nazis brought into they made it into houses of Jews and night, took Jews out in their night clothes. They would smash windows of Jewish shops, also socialist like newspapers and so on. So these were the events of November 1923. Hitler was arrested, but he got a very mild punishment. And I think it was for about a year. And I think that's a lesson we have to draw. If somebody, tries to attack democracy, as he did in Weimar Germany, and is not punished adequately, he'll come back.